good morning, everybody. And another round of talking about all kinds of things to do with my book, The Power of Intent. So, today, what I said I wanted to chat about a little bit is spirituality. And it's quite a controversial topic for a lot of people to talk about, purely because, Christians don't like Buddhists and Buddhists don't like Hinduists, and, Um, I personally, I grew up as a youngster as a Christian, went to Sunday school and church and all that kind of stuff. But I always had a problem with the fact that as a kid, the pastor would say things and I'd have questions. And I could never put up my hand and ask a question. I was always told, shh, keep quiet. You don't talk in church. You're quiet, you sit, you listen. And then afterwards, everybody scurries to go home. So as I grew older and as I got, my relationship with God changed and got more personal, the whole structure of religion became a bit of a problem. So what am I nowadays? I don't even know if I want to call myself a spiritualist because even that has become a structured religion. I am a being that experiences God on a daily basis, that communicates with angels, that works with energies and crystals and do tarot readings and use pendulums and do healings and all kinds of things like that. And that puts me in I don't know, kind of a unique category, I guess. Um, but in my dealings with reality, the environment, in my dealings with God, with angels, energy spirits, all these kind of things, a lot of knowledge has been brought forward that I have been privileged enough to gather in a way that it could be written down in an understandable manner, and hence my book, The Power of Intent, was born. And a lot of the things I teach and a lot of things I share with people are things that I experience, things that I learn through living life, not things that I read up on or I didn't take a book and say, okay, cool, let's see angels. What are angels? How do they work? Read. No, that's not what it was about. I'm not going to go into too much depth of where I came from and how my journey started, but the topic I want to talk today about is that chapter in the book is how you use your spirituality as a tool to help you manifest the life that you want to manifest. And I'm not against Christianity. I'm not against Buddhism. I'm not against any of these things. I believe that most religions have got truth in them. I feel that truth has been obscured and that truth has been warped into a platform of control, and is used alongside with fear to control the masses, control the bank account, control whatever they're trying to control. And what I usually tell people, if you look at God as being at the top of a mountain, and all the religions are different paths to get to God, at the base of the mountain, they're all very far apart. And, the one can't be compared to the other one. But the closer you get to climbing that mountain, the closer you get to God, the more truth you find and the more truth is revealed in the religion that you are in. And that's where the paths become very, very similar until the end, where they all reach the very top. So I want to welcome Ryan. Thank you for being here today, Ryan, and being interactive with questions and stuff. So as I go through what I'm saying today, I'm going to be answering some of Ryan's questions as well. And Ryan has asked here, angels are spiritual beings, and angel is a title of their role, which was to deliver messages. Angels literally mean messenger. Indeed, actually, if you break the word up, angel, which is the more correctly pronounced way of pronouncing the word angel, is actually messenger of light, or in other translations, messenger of truth. And that's exactly what they are. There are messages that bring you closer to God, but also messages from God, but also messages from yourself. And a lot of the time, these messages that comes through are not always new things. A lot of the times, it's things that they're just reconfirming or reminding you about. And that's one of the things you utilize when you start manifesting, specifically using your intent in a way that is proactive and not just leaving it up to the angels, up to God, or up to whatever. And if you start looking at your own religion whatever your religion is, whatever your faith is. Christians, they pray before they eat. Why do they do that? I spoke about that yesterday a little bit. Is it habit or is it intent? A lot of faith say let go and let God, because they've got so much faith in their God or their version of God that they know God will provide. That's also a powerful tool to use. So whether you use that tool as a crutch or as a tool of intent is up to you. Because you can now sit and wallow and go, I've got no money. I've got not the job. I hate my job. My kids irritate me. My wife and this and this and this and this. And then go, God, fix it, and then sit back and hope for the best, but still being the victim. That's not what I mean about using your spirituality. But if you are a praying person and you pray to God, then pray the solutions come swiftly. Pray what you choose out of life, right? If you are a Buddhist and meditation's your thing, then sit in quiet contemplation while meditating. Design your intent, use your faith, your religion, your spirituality to be an intentful practice, not just a habit, not just we go to church every Sunday because everybody else does it. Not just I give my 10th in the form of a 5 rand, a 10 rand, 100 rand when the little thingy comes around in church, but give your 10th every day to help mankind, to help your neighbor, to help others. Give your religion an active role in your life. Like I say, I experience God every single day. My interpretation of God is everything that is and isn't, everything that was and wasn't, all of it combined into one, all the stories, all the planets, all the religions, all the alles wat malles, the Alpha and the Omega and everything in between. And if you start focusing your intent on, let's take something cucky like washing the dishes. Very few people like washing the dishes. I'm not talking about popping in the dishwasher. I'm talking about pouring the water, soap, rub it up, scrub until it's clean. If you start experiencing God in everything, if you start bringing your spirituality, your religion, your faith into everything you do every day, intentfully, on purpose, right? Then even washing dishes becomes a godly thing. You can even find joy in washing those dishes. So that is what I mean about using your intent consciously, using your spirituality as intent consciously. So Ryan says here, trying to climb up to meet God, though, is an impossible task because the standards are so high. Let me tackle that one, Ryan, and then I'll get to your next one right after that. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. And that's why I think a lot of people are being controlled away from being intentful. We are being controlled to be the victim. You can't reach God unless you are a devout Christian. You can't talk to God. Only the pastor can talk to God, and you must listen to what the pastor has to say. It's not impossible. Jesus himself said that the temple is within. Jesus himself said, not only that I am the Son of God, he said, we are the sons of God. So it's not impossible, but religion and the way the world works and the way it looks has made it difficult, has made us the victims. It made you the victim. And that's exactly why it's a control system, because they can control you if you're afraid. They can control you if it's impossible. They can control you if you don't speak to God directly. Because if you did speak to God directly, I can tell you the messages and the knowledge and the interaction and the power that comes with releasing that victim mentality and becoming the creator of your reality. That is where it becomes easy. That is where the as you say, the difficult part of it, the impossible part of it disappears, because the standards are only as high as you make them. Because think about the following thing, right? God gave us free will. Okay? And what does that mean? That means we have the right to choose whatever we want. And this is such an amazing gift if you think about it, because if we truly have free will and we can choose whatever we want, that is a gift that God himself can never, ever take back. He cannot say, oh, no, you can't choose that. He can't say, if you do not follow the 10 commandments, you are going to burn forever in hell. He can't do that. Not the unconditional love of all loves giving us this gift of free will. It's not possible. Otherwise, it wouldn't be free will, right? Which means we choose how easy or difficult it is. We choose how much of the victim we are not. We choose how much we blame others, God, people, boss, business, friends, wife, whatever, right? But we make that choice. So if we can choose the negative, we can choose the positive as well. We can choose to lower the standards. We can break it up and not say, look, standing at the bottom of the mountain, looking at the top, going, geez, I can't even see the peak. Fuck, I'm never going to get there, right? If we're talking about mountains, there's a beautiful story about a traveler who wanted to reach the top of a mountain. But he thought, before I start climbing this mountain, let me maybe walk around the bottom and see, can I find other people who are going to climb the mountain and have a chat with them and see what can I do to prepare. Maybe some who came down from the mountain and see with them, how was the trip? What is the route to take? Do I take the one on the east or the one on the west? And that's what he did. And he started walking around the mountain and he found these people. He found people who were just about to hit the mountain and got advice from them, how to prepare, what to pack, what shoes to wear. Went on his journey. He found others that came down from the mountain, asked them what they saw, how it was. And he did this for a year. And after a year, he accumulated so much information that he decided, you know what? I've lived through these people, this journey of the mountain. I don't have to climb it anymore. And he went back home and never climbed the mountain. That was a choice. So we choose how difficult to make it. We choose how impossible to make it. We choose what chunk to bite off to achieve and how high that takes us. And then we just bite another chunk. They say if you improve by 1% a day, in 100 days, you've improved 100%, right? So don't make it impossible. So you said, Ryan, then further here that its intent, it's giving thanks to the provider for supplying me a bounty for the day. Yes. Yesterday I spoke about, and I mentioned it now as well, when you are using your intentfully, when you start choosing instead of wanting, that is when you start realizing what you have. A lot of, once again, Christians, not throwing you under the bus, but a lot of Christians pray before every meal because they were brought up that's what you do. They might not have been taught why they do it. Why do you give thanks for the meal that you receive? Is it just words you're spouting out of your mouth, or is there more to it? I found myself getting to a place, I'm not going to say I pray before every meal, but every meal I receive, I find myself contemplating about where that meal came from. Not just my wife making it, not just bought it from Pick n Pay, but that grain of rice that was grown in that rice field where farmers had to chop it, dry it, package it, export it, drive it in trucks to a shop where it goes. That cow that I'm chewing so nicely on, beef, the life it offered up, whether willingly or not, in order for that meat to reach me so that I can eat it and that it can sustain me and keep me alive. I started contemplating these things with every meal I got, and I became so grateful each time for every meal that is my prayer. That is my contemplation. I thank my wife for the part she plays in the journey of those ingredients, those sustenance that keeps me alive, because without it, I would not live today. So it's very much giving thanks, but it's not just giving thanks out of habit. And this is where the power of intent comes in. Once you start truly living intent, feeling it, not just doing it by habit, choosing it every time anew, every time thinking about, is this the choice I want to make? Yes or no? Then yes, choose it. That is where intent starts getting powerful. And that is where you start changing the things in a way that your power, so to speak, increases. Your control over your reality becomes more real because you take ownership of it and you're not leaving it to others. And then you are the gratitude that you show for what you do get from others helps build that even more so. Let's see what else you put down here, Ryan. He's found upon about Christ. He actually rebuked the phrases of being poor, examples of people, rituals, requirement, and such. Exactly. Christ, to start off with, like you mentioned earlier, the term angel is a label. Christ is also a label, right? The term Christ is not, Jesus' surname is not Christ. He's also not the only Christ of his time. There have been many Christos. It is a label given to Christ-minded people, to people who are more open, who are more connected to God. And there were many Christs in Jesus' time and beyond, but we don't hear about them. We don't talk about them because of programming. So very much so, the teachings that Jesus gave, Jesus wasn't a Christian. He was a Jew. But the teachings he gave wasn't Jewish, it wasn't Christian, it wasn't Hindu, it was things he learned from living life. The time when he left his home, he disappeared in the Bible from the age of 12, came back at 32. That's 20 years he was traveling, learning, talking to others, engaging, picking up what others believed, connecting to God, finding the information from source itself. And then that's the word that he spread. Ryan then says, yeah, build a personal relationship. Indeed. That's what it's about. And a personal relationship, when it comes to the intent, when it comes to manifestation, is specifically that, personal. It is owning your faults, owning your successes, owning your struggles, owning your relationship with God, owning your relationship with the people around you, your spouse, your children, your colleagues. It's owning that relationship. And the very first step, and I cover this in my book as well, is you have to start telling the truth about yourself to yourself and own it. If you are a narcissist, man, own it. If you are a bully, own it. Because once you own it, you can then decide, do I like what I'm owning or not? And if you don't like it, you can do something about it, right? That's how personal it must be. Because only once you start telling the truth about yourself to yourself, you can then take the next step, which is telling the truth about another to yourself. Who's this person next to me? Who's this work colleague? What are their faults? What are their strengths? Instead of blindly just believing everything they say, oh, this guy has to be on my side because he's working with me, you can start seeing the truth. And then once again, whether you like it or not, if the people in your life are not pro you, why are they in your life? And they're not only personal with yourself, but that relationship to spirit, to get the answers, to get the messages, and then trust what you're getting. Right? How do you get these answers? Your pastor can tell you. A song can come up and go into the ether, and you can hear somebody whistle it across from the street, and that reminds you of something, creates emotional, and there you go, wow, there's a message from spirit, there's a message from God. You can meditate and get answers. You can sit like me and actually speak with your angels in person and get the messages directly. There are so many ways of doing it. Some people use tarot cards, some people use pendulums. Make it personal on what works for you. I want to disagree with you a bit here, Ryan. You said it's an ego pride issue, wanting to forge your own way, which is futile. It's not, because forging your own way is exactly what free will is. That's the gift God gave you, right? And yes, ego, pride plays a big role, but most spiritual people will tell you, oh, do away with ego. It's just about spirit, love and light. And it's not. You are ego. You are spirit. It's about balancing. It's about the yin yang. Balancing. It's about moderation. It's about knowing when should you act in ego and when should you act in spirit. The Buddhists have got, the Shaolin monks specifically, they've got a very beautiful saying where they talk about demon hand and Buddha heart. They live by the principle of demon hand and Buddha heart. And what do they mean by that? They demon hand is why they practice so much to on their fighting style, because their notion is, if I'm in a situation where I have to defend my family, defend myself, defend my honor, defend my village, I must be able to do that. I must have the demon hand when it is necessary. But the meditation and the spirituality that comes with it, I must also have the Buddha heart to discern when to use the demon hand and when not. And that can be said to ego and spirit as well. Is when do I act in ego? When do I stand up for what is right in an egotistical world by utilizing ego, understanding ego. Because if you understand ego, you will understand another person's ego as well, and realize most of the time they act in ego out of fear, right? So it's a balance. It's a balance, and your own way. The only reason you can't create your own way is because all the programming that we're receiving, the shows we're watching, the books we read, the news, the YouTube doom scrolling, lives like this, all of those things are programming us to believe that we are the victim. It programs us to believe that doing it your way is futile because everything is against you. But if God is for you, if you are for yourself, then the futility of it falls away, right? Let's see what else you put down, Ryan. Everything, even including the path, the way the meal reaches you, being able to work and an income, being able to wake up in the morning. Prayer is a conversation with God, yes, 100%. But do you close your eyes and put your hands together and go, "Dear God," or is there grit to it? I remember when I was a kid, I had to say my prayers before I go to bed, and my mom would put the light off and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of found a hack, but it wasn't really a hack. It was for me a way to say what I truly felt. And my prayers used to go, "Dear God, everything that's in my heart, Amen." Because I didn't know how to put it into words necessarily all the time. But any conversation, every being we connect with is godly, is part of God, was created by God. So even talking to your wife, you're talking to God. Do we listen or do we just talk? Right? So prayer is very important. But what is prayer? What is it for you? How intentful is it? What words are you using? Because remember, language is also designed to confuse, to create double meaning, innuendo, irony, all that kind of stuff. And then how do you get to the intent that you want to get to? How do you get to create the things you want to create after praying, after asking God, after asking the angels, after, humbling yourself, bowing your knee and bowing your head? If the words that you use, using words like want, "Oh, dear God, I want this in my life," God will say, "Well, I will leave you wanting then." Versus, "Dear God, I choose to obtain the following thing in my life." Different energy to it. And then it's about the truth behind it. Are you speaking the truth, or are you speaking the programming that you have been given through your entire life? And I'm so glad that you found your way back to God, for whatever that means. A lot of people say, "I found Jesus." I'm like, "Oh, great. Where was he hiding?" Didn't know we were playing a game of hide and seek. But finding God is very important, because as much as people want to deny God or not, he exists. He's there. He's all around us. He's everything that is. Doesn't matter which faith you look at, doesn't matter what stories you believe, but idolizing Jesus as God, why don't you just idolize God himself? Praying through a pastor, or you're not allowed to go into that chamber because that's where the high priestess talks to God, and you have to stay out here. And we all have to find our own connection, our own way, like you say, because that is exactly what makes it personal. That's what makes intent so powerful, is that we practice a religion, a faith, a connection to God our way, personally, intentfully, every moment of every day. Yes, thank you. There you say it now, Ryan. Christ means anointed one. That's what I said earlier. It just means that you were anointed. It doesn't mean anything beyond that. And there were many, many, many anointed ones back in the days, and even up to the present day. Let's see what else you've got here, Ryan. Yes, so 100%. Free will was a gift, but let's not get confused. Free will was given to you, not to everything that exists. Cats, dogs, elephants, angels don't have free will, right? We have free will. And past loved ones, people who were human before they died, they moved on, they've got free will because they're in spirit. But not everything has free will. God didn't give everyone free will and say, hey, go crazy. He gave us, those that have a connection with him, he gave us free will. We are a small little handful in all of existence that has this precious gift, and we squander it, pretend like it doesn't exist, right? So not all spiritual entities have free will. Definitely not. Definitely not angels. And this is also where it gets to a confusing place, because now people try and use their angels to help them protect, message, whatever, but they don't know anything about angels. They don't know how to communicate with them. And the biggest thing we are taught as human beings is to be polite, manners, please and thank yous. But now if you think of an angel not having free will, like a cat, you can to that cat as much as you want. If he doesn't want to come, he doesn't come. Not because of free will, because of his animalistic tendencies, because of looking at his environment, knowing what energies are around him, knowing whether he's on his way to eat, on his way to hunt, on his way to play. If you go boo, a cat jumps, right? Angels are messengers and protectors. They get told what to do. They are like a little soldier in an army. And if you start asking please and thank yous, they go, what do you mean? What do you mean please? What do you mean thank you? What do you... Because please implies choice. They don't have a choice. They can't choose to now all of a sudden go play pool. Angels can't choose whether to help you or not. Angels can't choose what messages to give you and what they don't give. If a message is sent to you, they give it. So once you start understanding how to utilize your protectors and your angels more specifically, that's when the communication becomes easier, and that's when the intent gets clearer, because you know how to actually use them. Let's see what else you say. I'm just going through your messages, Ryan, and seeing what I haven't covered yet. Okay, you bring hell up here now, which is also a very interesting topic. So a lot of people think we are living in hell. A lot of people think not being connected to God is hell. What I do know is that the place where we go to burn forever was not something created by God. It's not a place he sends you. It's a place we send ourselves afterwards because of our guilt, our programming. Because as a father, you wouldn't tell your child, go wait for me in the oven while I tell it to 300 just because they broke a rule or a promise. So why would the love of all loves do that? So yes, most of us are separated from God because of our programming, because we're not intentful. We believe in the law of abundance. We follow the secrets. We do what the pastor says. We meditate. We exercise. We grab onto crystals. We do tarot readings. We do all these things, grabbing, yearning for that connection instead of just stopping and connecting, right? And some live in bliss and ignorance, not being connected to God, because things go their way and they don't go through hardship, or they born into rich families, or they've just had luck on their side, or whatever the case may be. And that's also okay for them. But my journey, my connection is personal and is different to everyone else's. Let's see. Right. Prayer is a conversation. No need for fancy talk, repetitive words. If you live in intent, when you start, a lot of people repeat, ask over and over and over. Why do you ask for the same thing over and over and over and over? Because you believe you're not going to get it. God said, ask and you will receive, as if you've had it all this time already. Right? So you only have to ask once. So you're right in saying that, right? It's not repeating words. It's not repetitive. It's not a broken record, because that shows you are not doing it with intent. You're doing it out of habit, out of fear, out of desperation, out of, if it's intentful, then when you say, God, listen, I'll choose this in my life, God will give it to you because he promised he would give it to you. Thus, it's already yours. All you have to do is have time move so that you and what you've chosen meet up with each other in whatever state of time space that meeting happens. So technically you should ask once and know it to be true. You don't have to be a record player that's over and over and over and over. Let's see what else you say. We can discuss the Trinity later. Yes, We can do definitely the next live I can go into more detail about Trinity. That is one of my chapters in my book as well, not from a religious standing, but from how to create and what the 3 steps of creation are and how Trinity builds into that and how the Christian Trinity and all of that. Yes, we can definitely talk about that, right? For sure. And yes, in our lives, everything we do affects our free will, but everything does not have free will. A cat does not have free will. I'm going to differ with you on that one. Ryan says here that everything has free will. Everything does not. And I can confirm this with many situations and scenarios I've been through. You have free will. But animals and how they react are based on their animal instincts. A cat can't choose to drive a car. He sees a car and goes, "Oh, I would like to do that." No. A cat learns from behavior, from trial and error, from the things that you do. It knows this is a safe spot, this is not. Yes, it can make decisions. Do not misinterpret decision making for free will. A decision is different to free will. A cat can choose whether to go left or right. Yes. A cat can choose if he wants to sleep now or eat. Yes. But that's not free will. Free will is the opportunity to choose, live, be, act, manifest, decide whatever you desire, whatever you want, beyond the things you currently comprehend. Cat can't do that. A cat can't look at a tricycle and go, "Ooh, I want to ride a tricycle." The cats who do ride tricycles have been trained by humans how to do it. And then because it's a safe space, they don't get hurt or injured, and the sensation is enjoyable, they do it. But they can't choose to do it out of their own, right? But we can also get into free will a bit more in depth on a session on its own. Let's see what else you've got here. People tend to think spiritual entities or higher dimensional entities are always right because they always have the ultimate perspective. This actually isn't the case. 100%. 100%. Because keep in mind, past loved ones, grandfathers, grandmothers who passed on and are now in spirit form and they come to guide you and talk to you, they were human before. You don't know what state they're stuck in, specifically if you don't have, like they say, gebore met die helm, or born with a gift of sight or clairvoyancy or any of these things, and you can't communicate as clearly as others. You don't know what state they're in, if they're stuck, if they moved on or whatever. Demons are real, guys. Dark side is there, and they are there to create fear, to cause confusion. So they're not going to have the right answer from the ultimate perspective. And that is why intent is so important. That is why your connection to God is so personal, because what is the question? What is the answer? What's the interpretation of the message that you get? And they are more than just heaven and hell. They are more than just angels and demons. Scientists have now theoretically proven that a particle of light, a photon particle, can exist in 37 dimensions simultaneously, right? And each dimension has got its own beings and perspectives and things and energy and signals that come from it that influence us, that we can draw from. We are the ultimate perspective. We are God experiencing himself through all experiences. But we lack the memory of all those experiences. We lack the insight to know which way, left or right, to go when we guide ourselves through life. And that's why we utilize the tools, angels, people, Bibles, scriptures, whatever, to guide us to get that message, to know whether we should go left or right in life in order to achieve what we want, what we choose. But you have to know what you are choosing before you can build it. Let's see here. So spirit, yes, Ryan, spirit can choose, because there are spirits that can choose whether they've got free will or not. There are past loved ones who've got free will as well, but angels can't choose. Demons don't choose. They get instructions and they go out and they deliver those instructions. So when an angel gives you a message, the angel can't lie to you. There's no need for them to lie. They are messengers of truth. So what they give you can be trusted. What they tell you should be adhered to. And if an angel tells you stop, don't cross the road. You stop and you don't cross the road. And if an angel tells you quit your job, you quit your job. As funny as that sounds, I've been through those experiences, and I can tell you that my life has been better each time I've adhered to the messages I received. What else have you got here? No, angels cannot lie. Angels cannot lie. There's no way for an angel to lie. They are a messenger of truth. But let's not forget that demons are nothing but angels who are serving Lucifer, who are instructed to cause fear. Because if only love existed, we wouldn't have free will, because that wouldn't be much of a choice. You can choose between love or love. But because you can choose between love and fear, you've got free will. And demons can deceive you. Demons and even other spirits, ghosts and things like that people talk about, they can come and give you falsities. They can come and mess around. They can come and play pranks. Demons more so not playing pranks, but guiding you along the wrong road in order to invoke fear. But angels, no, angels cannot lie. It's not possible for an angel to lie. An angel brings you messages straight from God. And every message an angel gives you is absolutely 10,000% the truth. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up there with tying this all into a little bow for today. When it comes to intent, when it comes to manifesting the things you choose in life, you need to know what your relationship is with your God, however you see that God, whether that God is Zeus, whether that God is Allah, whether that God is Jesus Christ. Whatever your relationship with God is, you have to understand your relationship, your personal connection to God, and bring that connection into an intentful, conscious choice every moment of every day of how you want to perceive and experience God. And then once you know your God and you know what He is capable of, you can then start looking at what you're capable of and what you're not. And then use your spirit, use your faith, use your religion to get yourself to that place of doing the things that you choose to do as a choice, not as programming, not as habit, right? Because if you do it actively, if you do it from a place of choosing and not habit, that is when the magic happens. That is when you start getting to a place where you can actually create the things you choose. And the exact steps to do that, I also cover that in my book, The Power of Intent. I will do that in the next live that I do because it ties in with the Trinity, it ties in with the power of three, the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and more so. And we can talk a bit more about how to take those actual steps to create the things you choose in real time, physically, not just something that you wish for the future or something that you pray about. Thank you for being here, Ryan. I appreciate it. You gave a lot of grit to today's session, and I'm looking forward to the next time we can take this even deeper. So thank you for joining, everybody else. This was a great session, and let's keep the chats alive. Have a good one.